This is a video that's really going kind of viral now. This is some footage of a Zionist confronting Jewish anti-Zionist protesters at Union Square in New York City. This is pretty raucous footage here.
We come from Israel. Our people come from Israel. You have come your people.
Zionism is a political movement which is causing bloodshed.
What are you talking about? That's where our family is from. I'm from Israel.
I love that. What are you talking about? That's where our family is from. I'm from Israel. It just shows who, and look, this is probably especially true of Israelis given their history, but this is kind of true of a lot of people, that they just can't possibly consider the "are we the baddies" question, right? Like, what do you mean? There's all this history. This is I'm from there because I'm from it. My family's from there. Therefore, that place's hands can't be dirty.
Listen, in her defense, she does look very Middle Eastern. So you can really see she has deep roots in that region.
Well, this is the irony: is you have her lecturing this guy about what it is to be Jewish. You know what I mean? This blonde woman pointing a finger in this guy's face, telling him you're not a Jew. She actually says that to him. Yeah, right. Exactly. Are we the baddies?
You hold that flag.
This is because the actions of the Zionist people, they are responsible.
What are you talking about? That's our ancestors.
We lived in a beautiful peace.
What flag is that? How can you say that? You're a Jew.
We lived in a beautiful peace with Palestinian people for hundreds of years.
How can you say that? You're not a Jew. You're not a Jew.
Oh my God. How can you say that? You're not a Jew. You hear what she responded to? This is so new. They haven't subtitled all this stuff yet because it's a little hard to hear because there's a loud space. But he says, we lived in peace with the Palestinian people in beautiful peace for hundreds of years. And she says, how could you say that? Not understanding that, Israel's only 75 years old. So what this guy's saying is that before Israel, Jews and Arabs lived in relative peace.
Until the Zionists came.
Exactly.
And the Zionists... I've talked to
and she's
these
saying,
guys,
how could you say that? How could you say that? As if Israel's been there for hundreds of years, as in its modern incarnate. Of course, according to these people, it's always been Israel, right? But
and then you see the Zionist answer to this is that it had been colonized by the Ottoman Empire, and again, whenever they make these arguments, they just give up the game. So it was colonized by others. Right. So now it's being colonized by you, so that's okay because it was done before. So because these people were colonized and didn't have their independence, fuck them anyway. Like, what are you arguing? Because the Turks imposed rule on them, that it's okay that you do that.
Right.
This is what I keep saying. When you really push them, they'll bring up the Native Americans. Really. Right. So that's that's how you want Israel perceived, as being equivalent to the white settlers that wiped out the Native Americans. And it seems like their argument comes down to, why does everybody else get to commit genocide?
Right.
We're the only ones. That's very anti-Semitic. Only Jews can't commit a genocide.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Are you?
I don't want that.
Recognize that guy there saying, I don't want that. That's the guy from the walking down the street guy. The walking. Hey, Jews need to know how to walk on the street. New York Jews here. Let me teach you how to walk. And that's him. That's the same guy. I think he was at the Cornell rally too. He looked very familiar. He was one of the guys in the background, one of the shots. But yeah, here he is again, friend of show, walking Jew. Representing at Union Square.
That is our country. How dare you say that about our own people? What's wrong with you? Fuck
This is not what
And he takes her out. See, okay, so they're saying you should really leave. That one lady says you should really leave. She has a baby with her, and whoever filmed this from this angle was prudent enough not to put the baby on camera, since you always want to be careful not to do that. So thankfully, we don't see him in this shot. There is a shot of him that we didn't use because of that.
Yeah.
But they're saying,
there's
come
also
on,
better because you can hear what they're saying to her better than on the other video.
Right. But they're saying, come on, you gotta like. Look, I don't mean this. I mean this in all seriousness. Like, and I say this about these Zionists all the time. They're not well. They're not well. I mean, you look at that. Look at that.
Well,
that is not a well-adjusted person.
Well, of course, and look at this. This is very typical of debating Zionists, and frankly, it's very typical of debating liberals. They do not offer counter arguments. They offer moral pleas, emotions, shaming, ad hominem attacks on your character. They will not debate you on facts. They won't debate you on facts. You go to a Zionist and 75 years of rivers of blood. Okay, well, so debate it. Debate it. You're denying that that's the case. Explain why it's not the case. She doesn't offer that.
How could you say that?
You're Jewish, so how dare you say this? But she's not offering an argument against it at all. You go to a lib who tells you, democracy is on the line in this election, and you absolutely have to stop Trump. And you say, well, Joe Biden's done more harm to black and brown people than any living and active politician. They won't take that on. They Trump.
Right.
It's the same thing. There's no thought process, and that's why so many libs and Zionists. That's why there's so much overlap between those populations. They're mindless people involved in subjects that they scarcely understand and don't even have any interest in understanding. It's pure tribalism.
Yeah, and you have the gall to lecture this guy. She tells this guy, "You're not a Jew."
About being a Jewess.
Take a side by side.
Well, that's where you could see this broke her brain.
Right.
This broke her brain. Like there's just too much cognitive dissonance here. She can't even process this much cognitive dissonance that a guy with the fucking payas is out here protesting for Palestine. She can't process it.
No, she's like, something's wrong here. That's why she was driven to go into that crowd. That's why, as she got heated, I mean, she took a swing at the guy. He was making fun of her a little bit, which is probably not the right thing to do in that situation because it could escalate. But she takes a swing at. Certainly didn't warrant taking a swing at the guy. She takes a swing at him, and the one lady says, "Okay, listen, you got a kid here. You gotta go. You gotta leave. You gotta leave." But she didn't want to. The one guy had to come, and he finally escorts her out. And so just a wild scene. But yeah, to confront this guy saying you're not a Jew, as if you are in a position. Just look at the side. Who do you think is more of a Jew in that situation? Yeah.
Well, could you imagine if it was a pro-Palestine person who walked up and took a swing like that? Dana Bash would be leading her segment with that. Violent attack from anti-Semitic pro-Palestine protesters. They're not even going to talk about this. You're never going to hear about this.
No. This will just be for the internet.
Please clap.